Hi, I'm Jim with Pour the Juice, and in this video, I'm going to try a different type of flight. I mentioned this one in the past, but I never made the video. I'm going to do Buffalo Trace versus Buffalo Trace versus Buffalo Trace versus Buffalo Trace. If you obviously if you've seen the title, so you know what this is going to be. This is going to be a regular batched Buffalo Trace versus three different single barrels. So I have a regular batch of Buffalo Trace. This one's been open for about a year, maybe a little bit less than a year. Um, this is one from Rastelli's Market in South Jersey. That one's been open. Hardly anything has been taken out of it though. Probably been open about a year as well. This is a fine wine and good spirits out of Pennsylvania pick. This one's been open for about 2 years. A little bit more taken out than this one. This is definitely down the furthest. And then I also have a Joe Canals pick that hasn't been opened at all. So it's going to be a fresh crack of this. This is almost a fresh crack versus two that have been open for a little while, with the main batch being open the longest. And yeah, I'm going to get these poured. I'm interested to see what happens here. So I'm going to put the main Buffalo Trace in what's going to be glass A. Yeah, it's good. And I'm always interested in these types of videos because I do have, this is going to be B, obviously I'm going to do A, B, C, D. The part of me that believes in whiskey conspiracies does believe that distilleries hold on to their best barrels and sell off the barrels that aren't so great as their single barrels. And I think that, makes sense. If I had a distillery, maybe I would want to do the same. But the whole point of getting a single barrel product, a store pick, is you want to get something a little bit different, and you want to get something that's a little bit better than what you normally can out of a batch. And if they're holding on to their better barrels, that would tend to mean that the batch is always going to be better than the pick. In my mind, at least. Maybe that doesn't mean that, but that's the math that I'm figuring in my head. And so, in case you're interested in the order here, obviously I'm going to mix these up. It's the batched fine wine, good spirits, Rastelli's, and then this is going to be the fresh crack of the Joe Canals. This was the Joe Canals in Marlton, New Jersey. It smells fantastic right now. I'm not sure which one is the one that smells the best, but I definitely get some of that grape, Laffy Taffy type note. That kind of candied grape, a little bit of grape soda out of all these, which is the note that I tend to love the most out of Buffalo Trace products if I can find it. The note that I tend to love out of Stag is going to be like a cherry cola note that some of them get, but Buffalo Trace to me does usually have that like a kind of grapish, candied grape note that I really enjoy. All right, I have no idea what order these are in now. Let's start like this. We'll see. All right. Gonna start from the right, go through, and I'll reorder them as I go through. That smells great. It's all gonna smell great. I enjoy Buffalo Trace. This one smells the best. We'll start with that one first. One of these smells the best. I don't want to say this one does for sure, but all right. It smells so great. It's like perfect Buffalo Trace. Vanilla, a little bit of that grape soda note, caramel, no off flavor. There's a reason why everybody loves Buffalo Trace so much. Like, there's a reason why it's so popular, why for the longest time you couldn't find, in some places you still can't find regular Buffalo Trace on the shelf for MSRP. It's because of that, where it's like you get the fruit, you get the cooked sugars. It just, even at, this $30 price point or whatever it is, gives you an experience you can't really get from many other distilleries. That might be better than the first one. Maybe not. It's good though. I'm gonna keep this one first. It has more of that grape note. There's a little bit more vanilla that comes through. Now these, when I went through and smelled them all, these last two, the nose was a little bit more difficult to come out. A little bit more faint. This one's coming through with a bit more ethanol right now. Because of that, I'm thinking this is going to be the fresh crack. That's typically what happens with me. If I get a lot of ethanol on a bottle, it's usually because it's just been opened. It needs to breathe a little bit. I'll spend some extra time aerating. I don't know if that actually did anything or if it's just messing with my mind, but it does seem like that ethanol is going down a little bit. So good. I'm just going to say that for all of these glasses. Every single one is just going to be like, oh, this is so good. There's just something about that Buffalo Trace profile. I think this is mash bill 1, mash bill 2. Whichever it is. It's the same mash bill as E.H. Taylor, as Stagg, as George T. Stagg. And those are some of my favorite whiskeys that exist. Stagg, is a continuous contender for me for my favorite whiskey of the year whenever I am able to get a Stagg. Last year I was able to get almost all of them, and they're all great. Even the worst batch of last year, I made a video on this. Even the worst Stagg batch of last year is still better than most whiskey that came out last year. I'll go back to this one. The nose on these first two is just remarkable compared to the last two. Yeah, I'm going to say that's better than this. There's also something to say with, a lot of pick makers, single barrel choosers. There are a lot of them that choose their single barrels by the nose, by what smells better, and it kind of convinces them that the whiskey might be better overall. I tend to find that it's pretty rare that a great nose on a whiskey doesn't at least land in the same ballpark on palate. Never compared whiskeys and one been like significantly better nose and it'd be a worse palate than the other one. I mean, I'm sure I have had that happen, but it's not very often. And this one I would say, I mentioned the grape taffy, grape candy. I would say this is on the nose at least more candy vibe. And this is actually more soda vibe. I get like a little bit more of like a effervescence on that. Lighter, much lighter. This is like Buffalo Trace with water added. Yeah. So whatever this is going to be last place for sure. I'm fairly secure in this being in third place. I'm going to go through the first two again. Just to nail those down. But if you're enjoying the video, please like it, please subscribe, and please let me know in the comments if you find this sort of video interesting. I do have a few Blanton's bottles that I could use those as well. I have one pick and a few normal Blanton's. I don't know if I've done a video on that before. And I do have a few other, standard release batches I could pair up with a single barrel. All right, let's go through one more time. Just the first two. Yeah, the nose on this one is just incredible. It says the nose of a stag. Deep, it's rich. It's fruity. I would say a lot of those candied grape smells are now kind of becoming more stewed. It's really nice. Yeah, I'm really going to try to give this glass its best effort here by clearing my palate. But this might be the best Buffalo Trace I've ever had, whatever bottle it is. It'd be hilarious if it's the standard release. I don't think it is. I don't know which one it would be for me to guess either. If there's one that like really stands out, I would tend to not believe that one would be the Fine One and Good Spirits, just because they're picking for such a wide audience. I would probably think Joe Canals, but we'll see. These two are fairly close. I would say I could go either way on these. And these are the outliers. This is significantly worse than the other three, and this is significantly better. So let's see what the worst one is. Wow, okay. So, worst one is A, which is the regular batch. Now, there could be a few reasons for that. It could be that, maybe Buffalo Trace doesn't keep their best barrels for their own batches. It could also be, this one has had quite a bit of air, and maybe that's started to kill the flavor a little bit. But this is the bottle that I said was like super weak. It tasted like Buffalo Trace with water added. So, the cork seems pretty good. I don't think it's getting any extra air in there. I don't think there's anything wrong with the seal. But yeah, this was significantly worse than the rest of these. Let's I'm really splitting hairs with these two. I think I have it correct. All right, so this is B. This is the Fine Wine and Good Spirits bottle. That's going to be third place. And then let's do first place. First place is going to be between Rastelli's and Joe Canal's picks. And it's Rastelli's. Ended up blowing away all the other bottles here. The Rastelli's pick is the best Buffalo Trace pick that I've had by far for sure, and probably the best batched Buffalo Trace I've ever had. I do have a Rastelli's Blanton's pick, so I can do a video on that if you are interested in it. Like I said, let me know in the comments if you want to see that, and I could do a couple Blantons versus the Blanton's pick. But yeah, thanks for watching. Cheers.